What's going on, guys? So another episode of Doctor Who has came and gone, and this week's episode proved that emojis will be the death of us all. I mean, come on, of course the language that goes across the universe is freaking emojis. But then again, maybe we got so smart that we didn't need to really even talk, and that we just freaking show emojis, and that is the one thing that we all understand. I feel like that would make us less intelligent, but at the same time, maybe they're already making us less intelligent. Because if you guys ever, I don't know about you guys, but when I freaking read text sometimes, and it could be a non-meme text, but sometimes if I'm just reading text and there's no emojis, there's no hashtags or anything like that, I'm all like, I read it in a freaking mean voice, like somebody's attacking me, when it shouldn't even be that way. Because one thing about text is you don't know if somebody's being sarcastic, because one, you don't know who's sending you the text half of the time. If it's like an internet thing, I mean, unless you're texting somebody, you probably know how your friends act. But what I'm saying is, you can't read sarcasm if you don't know if the person behind those words is actually somebody that uses sarcasm. So, emojis help. And so maybe emojis are the best things for language in the future. I don't know. Either way, emojis were killing people in this episode. Technically, it was robots that didn't understand how to handle freaking human emotions, but still, emojis were the mask for that murderer. But I really did enjoy this episode. It's just nice to get back to watching Doctor Who. And the one thing, I don't know, I've always appreciated it. I don't know about you guys, but I always love how from the first episode of a new companion to the next, they're always wearing the same clothes, because that just makes so much sense that they're jumping in time like that from new planet to new planet or new time era to new time era and all that jazz. And Bill is wearing the exact same clothes as from the night she left, you know, from the last episode. And of course that made sense because we saw that, I'm forgetting his name. I just looked it up and it's Nordal, the freaking bald guy. He was getting mad at the Doctor and saying like, what about your oath, sir? And blah, blah, blah. Which I don't really know if I want to know if we're going to get the exact oath that he's talking about. I mean, I already know that it's, I guess, not to fly around with companions anymore, because he lost Clara and he lost, well, he doesn't technically remember Clara. I mean, he feels like he's missing somebody, and, you know, we know the whole guitar solo thing from or the guitar music, whatever, from the finale with Clara, but, and then he lost Rose, which he lost Rose too, but, River, he lost River, and maybe that's what his oath is. I mean, they didn't really, they did travel to, like, everywhere together, but not in her final days. They stayed on a planet for 22 years and, you know, probably did adult-type thingies. But in that whole time, he doesn't really make an oath. I can't recall him making an oath on the Christmas special with the superhero thing. I don't remember that happening at all, although I need to go back and watch that to make sure. But do let me know in the comment section down below if he did make an oath and I'm just completely forgetting about it right now. Back to Bill wearing the same clothes. That is something I do really appreciate about this show, because a lot of shows will just be like, oh, we're here and new clothes and new setting, blah, blah, just so they can have different wardrobe. But I like the consistency of that, at least from the start of the episode. We know everything gets crazier and, you know, they can change clothes at any moment. But I always do like that consistency at the start of Doctor Who, where, you know, the first wardrobe from episode 1 will be the same thing in episode 2 if, you know, they're just continuing the story, which is I really, really like about this show. In this episode, we're just learning more about Bill and just how she thinks. She's totally curious about everything. She asks the most simple questions, which I don't think a lot of companions have done previously, or maybe they have, I just don't really catch on to it. But I feel like Bill's asking very, like, specific, easy questions. Like, we had the instance where she was, like, freaking out that the Doctor had 2 hearts. She was like, do you have very high blood pressure? I don't think any companions ever asked that before. And also, she said something in episode 1 that also made the Doctor be like, well, nobody's ever said that before. Besides that, the one thing I love about Bill is she's like a total sci-fi nerd, and she's just like, oh, is it like this and that? And she's just trying to compare everything that's happening as she's seeing it to something she's seen on TV shows or movies or probably read about. And I really enjoy that because it's adding a different aspect to this show, because the show is basically a sci-fi show, and we have this character that is all about sci-fi, and she's probably going to learn how what she's read before or what she's seen before is totally different than what's actually happening in the worlds. Some of my favorite parts of the episode were the Doctor calling out Bill for being racist towards robots. I thought that was pretty hilarious. I mean, just, you know, just looking at it, that we as people are like, oh my god, that's racist. But then in the future, very, very far in the future, where freaking robots have their own minds and, you know, intellect, people who built them will more than likely be racist towards them, which I just found hilarious and very ironic. Because, you know, in the future when that actually happens, people are going to be like, well, robots aren't a race. Well, technically, there aren't any races in the world, buddy. It's just the human race. That's kind of why racism is stupid. We also had a skeleton crew pun, which I don't know if you guys caught up on that, but they were like, this is the freaking crew, and then they were all skeletons. Skeleton crew pun. Maybe I was the only one that got that. Also, the doctor made the classic don't check my browser history joke, which I thought was great, because even the doctor looks at naughty things, apparently. Or at least, I don't know, what would the doctor look at in his browser history that he would be ashamed of? You know what I'm saying? Quick question, would you guys wear those emotion badges that go on your back? I mean, you would never know technically what it's telling you, but people would know. I don't know how I would feel about that, because sometimes you just don't want people to mess with you because you get over things on your own. But people are like, you're sad! What's going on? Yeah, that'd be kind of annoying. Now, here are some of the most interesting things I found out about the episode. One is, what the hell is in that vault and why is he protecting it? What does it have to do with? I'm kind of hoping it has to do with something that can control time and change it, because we'll see what's going on there. But I don't know. I'm just really interested to see what's going to be in that vault. It's just going to be one of those mysteries. I don't know if we're going to get it at like the midway point of the episode and he's going to have to deal with, or not the episode, the season, and he's going to have to deal with that, or it's going to be one of those reveals that comes out at the very end. I'm really interested to see where they're going to go in the storyline with that vault, because he has to protect it. I don't know if there's been anything that he's had to protect like that from the start of the season besides companions. Number 2 is, how did the world end? Now, we've seen various episodes where the world actually explodes. I think that was the second episode of Eccleston's run, is where he takes Rose out to space and they watch the world blow up or burn up. But I know there's a future episode with Tennant, I believe, where there's a new world, where I think they go to New York, I believe. And that is like New Earth, I think, like something like that. So I don't know. So which Earth was the end of the world? Is it the first one? Is it the last one? And then if you think about the very first episode where the Master comes back, when they're stuck on that planet, you know, outside of, I don't know, it's not outside of time, but it's at the very end of the universe and they're trying to go to Utopia. Those were apparently the very last people of the human race, and they were getting sent to Utopia, wherever that was supposed to be. So, what happened to that Earth, and where were those people from? Was it New Earth? Was it the original Earth? I'm always, like, curious about those kind of questions, which makes me think, what Earth were all the people in this episode from? Because, you know, I'm just curious about it. For a second, I thought maybe one of these pods was the one that the Master ends up turning into all of those freaking things at the end, but those are the ones that were going to Utopia. But it was just really, really crazy. We also got to see the Doctor be wrong for once, which, I mean, we've seen him be wrong many times in this series, but he was wrong thinking that he had to blow up a place, but he was actually going to end up killing a lot of people, so he had to reverse his whole thing, and then kind of had to talk people who always go straight to violence out of the whole, like, yo, these are robots that have been here way longer than you bitches, so you're gonna have to live with them, and they're a new species. Bada bing, bada boom. If you don't work with them, I'll kill you because I'm the Doctor. But one thing I will say about this episode is it does make you think, at what point is technology too good? Because I feel like people build, you know, we've seen Terminator, we've seen all these things, we've seen AI, all that jazz. But, you know, tech always means good, but it always seems to be, like, the downfall of society. Which is what we would have saw in this episode if it wasn't for the Doctor. The last question I want to ask you guys, just because Bill mentioned it in this episode, she asked the Doctor if he was Scottish. We've had doctors from different parts of Europe, but I want to ask, would you guys be really upset if there was an American Doctor? Because there is this, like, I don't know, this kind of like hatred and like, no, there could never be a freaking American Doctor. There is like this mindset that people say that could never happen. There could never be an American Doctor on Doctor Who, blah, 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 blah. There's just, that is like this idea in the world. But I find that idea hilarious because we have a character, right? The freaking Doctor wasn't born in Europe and he wasn't born in Britain or anything like that. He was born on freaking Gallifrey, so he's not even human, and he can change into, which it's very funny that he only changed into humans and he doesn't change into like other aliens, but Gallifreyans look that way, so it makes sense. So whatever. The Time Lords, we have this species or race or whatever you want to call it of Time Lords, and they can change from freaking male to female and change their color and race, apparently, because we saw that in that one episode with Clara at the end of her season, where, you know, he kills that one guy. He goes from a white man to a black female Time Lord, bada bing bada boom, which was our proof right there. We also know the Master has went from male to female, so we know that they can change sexes, but people find it absurd that the Doctor could be American, and it baffles me. And I get why people are upset. Some people are like, Doctor Who's been a British show for 50 plus years. They don't want an American Doctor. We just want to keep this British, blah, blah. I totally get that, and I respect it too. But I just find it hilarious that you have a character that can literally change from male to female, but we're drawing the line at him being American. I just find it hilarious and kind of also want to break that idea, because if I ever become an actor, and a really good one, and they're like, hey, he would be good for Doctor Who, I would want to have the ability to be Doctor Who. But before that could even happen, the Doctor more than likely has to be a female, and probably black before that, which the next Doctor might actually be female and black. So she might be breaking down the walls to, like, hopefully an American brown person could get in there and be the Doctor someday. Anyways, I do really want to know what your guys' thoughts are on that whole subject and this whole episode. Also, what do you think the elephant means at the end of this episode? I think it's just setting up for the next episode. But if there's any significance to that, do you think they changed something in time that just made them... Why would there be an elephant just out of nowhere? Then again, this is Doctor Who, so you don't really have to explain everything because they explain it in the next episode. Anyways, guys, I do want to know what you thought about this whole episode and how you're liking this season of Doctor Who. What do you think of Bill? And, yeah, what do you think about there ever being an American Doctor in Doctor Who? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Guys and gals, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with all your Doctor Who buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I'm your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I had my daily dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bye!